I am so truly blessed to have such a wonderful friend of mine that is going to be joining me today on this podcast. I met Christy a few weeks ago, actually almost a month ago, and I just fell in love with who she is, love with her story on how she brings out people in her. And I'm excited for all of you to meet her too. This is why I do what I do, is because I can continue to bring these women into my podcast. And the first thing I can do is really truly connect with them from soul to soul, energy to energy. And this is why I love Christy so much. So let me introduce you to this beautiful, beautiful lady. Christy Holt is a self-proclaimed happiness hussy adventure guide. She has a podcast called Create Your Happy, which is available wherever you listen to podcasts, and an international best-selling author. The book is called Unstuck for Women and Others, which is available on Amazon. She's on a mission to spread happiness around the planet. Christy is a mentor for whole ass humans using her signature CREATE method, which is CREATE. She adventures alongside of her heart-led clients to support and love them as they discover and unlearn all the conditioning, love, and exploring who they are. Christy's mentorship helps her clients to create a life they love, full of loving and healthy relationships that make them truly fucking happy. I love the swearing. I don't do it much on my podcast, but this makes me so happy today. And here is Christy. I want to introduce you guys to her. She's phenomenal. Thank you, Christy, for being here and taking your time and talking to me on my podcast today.
Thank you so much for having me. I am also super excited to be here and to have a conversation and hopefully provide some nuggets for people to take into their actual life. I'm always a fan of giving some practical information that people can actually use and implement so that they can make a shift in their life starting like right now.
Yeah, I love that. I want you to be you, and I want you to tell us how this got created. How did you start this? Because I think we all need to sit down as moms, as women, as everyone, entrepreneurs, every single one of us that are here listening to this is, creating this happiness within us and finding that love within us. I think we all need that. We forget that, right? And I just want you to bring it all out. Talk about it. How did you start this adventure? And tell us a little bit more about you.
Yeah, well, I will say that I just want to start and preface the conversation by saying that happiness is our intended state. It's not something that we have to go out and seek and find outside of ourselves. It's actually our intended natural state of being. Mm-hmm. Now, what can happen though is what happened to me, where I kind of lost that. And I got a lot of distractions in my way and a lot of struggles that kept me from experiencing this intended state of true, pure happiness and peace and joy and love and bliss and whatever you want to call that, right? It's like this amazing state of being that is in fact your natural state. Yet we're human. And so we go through life and people are going to people and life is going to life and things are going to happen. We're going to face challenges. We're going to have obstacles. We're going to have great relationships and not so great relationships. And so my story, I mean, it's a story of life, really, right? It's an adventure of all of the things. But about 8-9 years ago, I would say, I really found myself struggling. I was not very happy whatsoever. In fact, I was waking up every morning feeling overwhelmed, anxious, worried about the day, and just kind of a mess, to be honest. Yeah. All of this before my feet even hit the floor in the morning. And I'll be really honest with you. I was partaking in some not very healthy strategies to avoid feeling that way. So, I was having drinks during the day, not like, I wouldn't say it was problematic, but it was an avoidance tactic. And so it's not about the thing, it's about the intention behind it. And so it was an avoidance tactic. I was doing online shopping. Okay, listen. Yeah. I binged the entire series of Gossip Girl inside 1 month. I think it was 120 episodes and they're like 40 minutes each. Like, talk about the queen of avoidance. And this was because my marriage was a mess. I was very, feeling very unseen, feeling very unheard. We were very disconnected. We really had troubles communicating. And, it was just very unhealthy. That's what we'll say about it. It was not a good fit for either of us. And I just found myself not the person that I wanted to be. In fact, I didn't know who the fuck I was anymore because I had been down this road of having children. I had left my career. I had my babies. I have three, now they're teenagers, three sons of my own. I have a fourth bonus son. We'll maybe get to that later in the story. But at the time, I had three young boys at home. They're all within 3 years of each other. And I didn't know who I was outside of being their mom and being a stay-at-home mom and being a wife. Before that, I was a professional. I was a professional accountant. I had a career. I, had something to go and do and things to people to see and all of these important things. And then I became a mom. And I actually never went back to that career because I realized in reflection later that it was totally not a fit for me whatsoever. And if anyone's listening thinking like, you were an accountant, I know, right? It probably wasn't a fit from day one. And I remember actually very early on in my career doing some sort of personality assessment in a group of the other accountants. And I don't remember the specific details about the personality test. What I do remember is that they put it on the board and like charted where everyone was, and everyone else was in one category. And I was like, one of these things is not like the other, right? I was like the yellow, friendly, bubbly person, and everyone else is like super analytical and like, pretty rigid. And these are the way things are. So I have always known that I don't always fit in. And this was just something that I later kind of realized this wasn't really a fit for me. Many reasons why I went into that, but we don't have to go down that road right now. Back to I'm feeling stuck, like I don't know who I am. I used to have a little bit more of this identity, right? And when I had a career and I had this sort of, thing that identified me and labeled me, and here I am just a mom. So I called it that I was suffering from just a momitis, where I just kind of lost track of who Christy was amongst all of that. I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I didn't really know what lit me up because I was so focused on raising my family, focused on the kids, that I came last. And I mean that pretty well in every possible way. You know what I mean? So I was pretty miserable until, I had this moment. And this moment, I'll say, came after years of complaining and wishing my partner would change and blaming him for all the things. And I'm not to say that he was faultless. No one is. We're not perfect. We're all humans. We're all doing the best that we can with the resources and understanding we have. And some of us have different resources and understanding. I know if you've peopled at all, you'll know this, that other people often see things quite differently than you do.
Yeah.
And yet I was waiting for him to change. I was waiting for, a knight in shining armor to show up and save the day, to make things better, for everything to shift. And all of that time that I spent looking at him and wishing that he would change or circumstances would change and things could be different, I was missing what was actually the most important, crucial piece of my own happiness. And that was that I was the common denominator in every single one of my problems. I spent all that time pointing fingers. I mean, maybe not literally, but, by blaming and complaining and venting to my friends about how unhappy I was. And I had this moment, actually. One of my girlfriends, after one of my little bitch sessions, one of my girlfriends, it was a little harsh. So I don't know if I would say it like this to a friend, but it was what I needed. Said, like, you're not going to leave him anyway, so what are you even complaining for? Like, it was a bit harsh.
Right.
But it was the harsh truth I needed, right? To be like, oh, like the hell you're going to be right about this, right? I was just like, oh my gosh, like I didn't like her in that moment, to be honest. I was like, oh my gosh, like I can't believe she just did me like that. Like she knows, she'd be so harsh like that. But it was totally what I needed. And so I don't know if that was the catalyst, but this all contributed to me realizing, like, oh my gosh, like I'm the common denominator. And so when I started to shift what I was doing and how I was showing up and going after the things that I wanted to create with more intention, instead of sitting back waiting for things to shift, things started to shift. Like it was like magic. Like I just wasn't waiting for the world around me to do the things. I just took charge and I started doing them for myself. That was huge. And unfortunately, that led to my marriage falling apart, because sometimes the more you get to know yourself, the more you realize the things that are and aren't in alignment for you. And so unfortunately, sometimes we are meant to have a relationship for a reason or a season, and it's not meant for a lifetime. And so, and unfortunately, fortunately, I don't know what word to use there, erase all of that. Just is just what it is. I do get to have a relationship with my ex for a lifetime because we have children together. So, I guess that was more of like a reason. But I have since found the most incredible partner ever, and I'm sure we'll get to that part of the story as
Yeah.
well. But sometimes everything works out the way that it's meant to, right? And
Yes.
sometimes it looks like it's not going to. It looks like a steaming pile of poop while you're in it, and then it works out to the most amazing, beautiful result in the end. And the problem is we can't see it when we're in it. We're in the middle of the shit pile. We can't see what's possible or what opportunities exist. But I invite you, if you're in the shit pile right now, to stop looking at the shit pile and look backwards and see all of those things that have worked out for you until now. And
Mm-hmm.
just hold that faith, hold that trust that even though it might not look like it's going to work out, it is going to work out. It's just, patience, I guess, which is not my strong suit, if I'm honest.
Yeah. Yeah. Your story really, I guarantee it resonates with so many other mothers out there, especially me too. You know what I mean? Like I was in that same category, especially when I had my kids. My relationship was going completely haywire. I blamed others for my problems. I always blamed others, thinking this is the reason I am the way that I am today, not realizing it wasn't no one else's fault but mine. I even remember I was young, and I used to always ask myself, why am I the way I am? I'm pretty, but why do people not like me? Why am I not happy? Because I always thought happiness came from the outside world. It's,
Yeah.
if my relationship, if he had changed, I would be better. If my family would help me more, I would be better. If
Yeah.
if they would just come over and just spend time with me, I would be better. But it had nothing to do with them. It was the way that I was reacting towards my relationship. So I love that you brought all that up, because it's true. And like you said, like, you were closing up, like you were trying to forget everything, and you would do shopping online. And that's exactly what I did. I used to shop on Amazon. I didn't even know about Amazon until then, Amazon. And I used to order stuff all the time online, because it would be easier for me than going away, but I would do more and more, thinking that that's going to give me that happiness.
Yeah, it gives you like a
I
little hit of out quote unquote happiness, what we
Right.
think is happiness, but
Mm-hmm.
that's actually not it, because happiness actually isn't like fleeting like that. True happiness is not just like a little dopamine hit and then it disappears.
Exactly. Because every time I would wear something thinking, oh, I look so good, this makes me happy, it would only be for a small burst of happiness. And then boom, like I'm back to my like crying episodes and blaming others again. And it's true. I remember I used to have a hairdresser that used to come over, and she used to do my hair, thinking that if I get my hair done, my nails done, I would be happy. But or having a nice car, or having a nice house, or looking good. It was never any of that
Yeah.
that made me happy. It was a burst of happiness for a few minutes, and then boom, I'm back to my normal life. So really, I applaud you for just finding that happiness within yourself. Now, here is a big question, and I think it's really important to understand. There's those questions that come up for me. It's like, okay, happiness is within. And for you, it was that one person that told you, well, why are you complaining about this person? Because at the end of the day, you're never going to leave him anyways. And that was that boom, like, oh my God. Oh my God, this is,
It definitely stopped me in my tracks. That's for sure.
yes.
It was like a slap across the face, but sometimes we need that.
And you know what? Your story resonates with me, because I had the same exact moment with one of my friends. I was complaining about someone, continuously complaining. And she looked at me and said, I need you to stop complaining about this person, because it has nothing to do with her. You need to start to look at yourself and within yourself, because the problem lies within you. And when she said that to me, I hated her for that. And
Yeah,
when she said that
absolutely.
to me, I sat there thinking, oh my God, I do not like her right now.
Yeah.
I was like, this thing just hit me, like as if, oh my God, this is me. And that's when I started to grow. And when I see you, getting hit by that same truck, I was like, oh my God, she went through the same thing. And a lot of us need that extra push. Either be somebody, either you get into some kind of a health issue, either you get into some kind of a problem, and that is whatever it is that hits you, that is your breaking point. That breaking point leads you to your next journey. And that's exactly what you went through. So when I ask you today, happiness. How did you finally change that and make it into within happiness, your happiness within yourself? How did you find that? What did you go through those moments to get you there? I want you to tell me that.
Okay, well, it is all about the breakdown before the breakthrough,
Yes, yeah.
right? It is
Oh,
like everything
yes.
falls all the way apart and then you can sort of rebuild. And it doesn't have to.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to, but we're humans. And so oftentimes we love to be so much in our comfort zone that it takes something, unfortunately, like illness or a massive shock. And it could be your friend giving you a reality check, or it could be something more serious, right? But I think for me, it was less a process of like adding on or learning something new. It was actually unlearning the
Mhm.
stuff that wasn't it, right? Because I had a lot of bad habits of complaining and blaming and finger pointing and seeking and chasing and wishing and hoping and dreaming. And there's nothing really wrong with dreaming or hoping
Yeah.
or wishing.
Yeah.
But when you're stuck in this perpetual state of like, listen, wishing and hoping and dreaming are not active states of having or being,
Mhm.
right? So they are keeping all of the things that you want at a distance. And then on the other hand, we can be chasing things. We all know there's stories of all kinds of celebrities that have shared that they have everything and more. They have millions and millions of dollars. They don't even know what to do with all their money, and yet they're still not happy. It's not about the money. It's not about the things. It's not about, you know, accumulating things or creating external circumstances that are perfect. It's actually about cultivating this intended state of happiness within by stripping away everything that gets in the way of your experiencing that. It's about your experiences. It's about how you're being. It's about how you're showing up. It's about being congruent with who you truly are and getting rid of a lot of the conditioning programming, the habits and the beliefs that you may have picked up that probably served you at one point in your life.
Mhm.
Many of them are trauma response that we had to adopt to survive in some way, and that sounds extreme, but it's the truth. We often have these coping mechanisms that come out of a need for survival that we think are serving us, or you know, they're running on autopilot. They have been for a long time, and we just never stopped to say like, well, hold on a minute. Like, why do I believe this? Why do I respond like this? Why does this bring out this emotional reaction within me? Why do I always fill in the blank, right? Or why do I never fill in the blank? And so when we spend all this time seeking and chasing and, you know, trying to find literally anything outside of
Validation.
ourselves,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Validation, acceptance, love, the truth, um, happiness, peace, love, joy, none of
Mhm.
it's out there. And this is where that unlearning comes into play, because the more we seek out the more we're seeking in the wrong place, and we are gonna fucking miss it.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you look for your keys in the toilet, you're not gonna find your keys. I mean, I hope not.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Right? So it's a matter of starting to look in the right place so that you can experience what is there for you, what is already there, that you don't have to do or create anything outside of yourself. It's already there. That's why I'm saying it's your intended state of being. And it's a matter of getting rid of the suffering and the pain and the struggle and the challenges that you're creating by looking in all of those wrong places, right?
Yeah. It reminds me of one day I remember sitting there and I sat there thinking, you know, I'm having an issue with really understanding who I am and why I'm here. What's my purpose? What am I supposed to be doing here? And it was really looking within myself. Like I couldn't find that place of where I needed to be. And I always thought that happiness came in within that time. Like I have to be happy and I'm not happy with where I am. Where am I supposed to go? What am I supposed to do? It was always about where am I supposed to be? And so one day I remember asking myself these questions. And then I looked up one day and I said, seriously, I don't know what I'm doing here. I don't know why I'm here, why you brought me in this situation. I never anticipated to be a mom of two girls or getting miscarriages or being a stay-home mother. What do you want me to do? Like this is, I didn't realize this was my life. Like, you know, where finding this happiness, you want me to find it. Where is it? Like I'm confused, you know? I don't know what you want me to do. I'm tired. I'm done. I don't know what to do. It was like the surrender thing that I did. I didn't even know it was called surrender at the time because I'm still kind of awakening at the moment. And then here, all of a sudden, I find this beautiful masterclass. I don't know if you've ever heard of her. Her name is Dr. Shafali. Um, and she's a clinical psychologist. She actually helps a lot of mothers basically understand their kids and stuff like that. So I was like, okay, I saw her one day and she's like, I'm going to be live on this masterclass talking about your purpose. It's a masterclass. It's completely free. Just come and join me. And I'm sitting there. I'm like, okay, fine. Like, I want to know what my purpose is. Like, why am I here? And, all of this. And every story that you said, the shedding and the tears and all of that, just like you said, the moment, it's right here. It's right here. She said the exact same thing. And she said, your purpose right now is exactly where you need to be. Oh my God. And
you're not in the wrong place.
Yeah.
Right? How relieving is that to know that you're not fucking it all up, right? You're not making all the wrong choices. You're not doing it all wrong. You're exactly where you're meant to be.
There is no mistakes in this world.
Yeah.
You're exactly where you need to be because you need to learn that lesson first before you continue on with your next lesson. And this entire life is a school. We're here, it's just continuing to learn, and it's we never finish learning. And that's exactly why we're here. So I don't think it's about people not learning. It's like, hey, you are exactly where you need to be. Your purpose is right here, right now. This is the happiness you need to find now before you continue on with your life. And that just blew my mind. And that's when I sat down thinking, why am I fighting my life? Why am I fighting who I am? I'm a mom of
struggle for yourself.
Yeah.
Right?
I'm a mother. Why am I not sitting with my kids and enjoying them? Why am I just not being their friend and loving where I am today? Doesn't matter where I am, how I got here, what happened. Forget about the past, because that's exactly what's going to trigger you to continue to go back, and the depression and all of that continues to go backwards. Stop where you are and be so happy with where you are, and just embrace that happiness, because that's going to lead you to your next journey. It will lead you there, with or without you knowing, but you have to be happy with where you are today. And that is why when you said all those, like, yes, it's right here, it's right here, it's right this moment. Thank you for saying that. It is so important for others to listen to that, because if we can't be happy now and be grateful now, we are never going to continue to live the life that we need to live. I always say we're our own canvas. You have your canvas, I have my own canvas. We get to color in that canvas the way we want to color it in. So nobody else is going to come and color in your canvas. You're the only one that makes a choice of what color goes on that canvas. So it's like, you're the director, you're the author, you're the full on, life, the way that you're going to walk that life. That's who you are. And if you are going to write the script of your life, write it the way you want to write it, and direct it the way you want to direct it, and act it the way you want to act it, because nobody else around you is going to do it for you. So,
amen. All of that. I call that being a conscious creator, which is just to say that you're living and creating your life on purpose, right? Where you're following your heart's desires. And I don't mean this in a selfish, like, ego kind of way, but like in a way that things feel aligned and congruent. And absolutely, if you're focused on the past, that leads typically to depression and also a lot of wasted energy, because you can't change the past. You can change the current now story that you're telling about the past, but that's here and now. And in the future, if you're worrying about and wishing about, so this could be negative or positive, if you're always like living in the future, waiting for the next thing or worrying about the next thing, that's usually called anxiety. You're also not here and now. And in order to create the experience of happiness or peace or love or joy, again, substitute whatever word resonates most for you, the thing that you desire most in your inner being. You have to be here and now, being present in this now moment, because otherwise you're actually giving up your power to shift your experience. The only experience you're ever going to have is now and now and now, right? And even in the future, when the future comes, it's going to be now. So exactly as you said, if you don't figure out, unlearn, if you don't figure out the way to experience that state of being now, you won't come to it, right? So it's always going to be in this now moment. And if you can despite whatever crazy chaos is going on around you. And as moms, you know, there's always some stuff. And I have 4 teenage boys in my house. So it's a lot. Sometimes it's very loud. It's very messy. It's a lot of chaos and co-parenting and, you know, all of the things that come along with that. It's quite a wild adventure. But if you can't find and create space to be present, you're going to have a difficult time consciously creating the life that you want. The other thing that I wanted to add to this too is I have a different perspective on healing that a lot of people have, and personal growth and development and all of these things, because I feel like just like the diet industry, and I'm not going to go down this tangent. I promise I'm not going to go down this tangent. In the anti-aging industry, I could go way off, but I'm not going to. They market to you to make you feel less than so that you buy their products. Okay. This is their whole strategy. It has worked immensely. There's like billion-dollar industries making you feel like you're not good enough, like you're not pretty enough, that you're not skinny enough, that you're not whatever enough. Yeah. And it's a lie. And so my approach to healing is actually very different than others, because a lot of people, you know, the word healing often has this sort of connotation to it that there's something wrong, there's something broken, there's something that needs fixing, right? That you're not perfect yet, and that there is something new to attain to. And the whole personal development, personal growth industry also thrives on this. And I think this is actually where I really stand out, because I believe you're already fucking whole. I believe that you're already perfectly imperfect just as you are. I do believe that you are the divine having a human experience, and that you cannot truly make a mistake. No. And so when you approach healing from this perspective of you're already whole, you don't have to fix anything. You're not broken. There's nothing wrong with you. You're already so much more than good enough. Now you can continue to grow and expand and evolve, but see how there's a bit of a different vibe about it, right? Like, instead of I have to be better, I have to improve myself, I have to be different, I have to grow, with all this pressure moving from essentially like a scarcity or lack mindset or a not good enough perspective, versus I'm whole, I'm perfectly imperfect as a human. I have everything that I need. All of the answers that I've been seeking already exist within me. There is nothing out there that I need. I am already whole. This is why I say work with whole ass humans, because I believe everyone is already whole. And so when we recognize or remember our wholeness, we move differently, right? We do continue to evolve, because that is the journey of being a human. I don't think that's ever going to stop. We're going to continue to learn and expand and grow, but from a space of wholeness. Yeah. That just feels so much better than always striving to try and fix what we think is wrong. There's nothing wrong with you. You're perfect as you are.
Yeah. I love that. Just, oh my God, just goosebumps all over my body. You are whole. You are perfect the way you are. Yes. Yes. If I had to ask you, if you have, when you work with your clients, give us an example of how you actually, what you do and what you actually do with them, so that they start to learn to become that wholeness again. What kind of things that you do?
Well, there are a lot of pieces to that. And I tend to meet my clients where they're at and meet them in the trenches of whatever is going on in their life. And most of them, that's a new experience for someone to meet them without the judgment, to meet them with unconditional love and acceptance, to create a safe space for their expression. That is usually, actually, that's pretty transformative, to be honest, when you haven't experienced unconditional love and acceptance from another human. And so many of us have not. It's not anyone else's fault, right? It's not about pointing fingers or fault or blame at all. It's actually just about awareness, because we don't know what we don't know. And when we start to see things differently, we can do things differently. And so sometimes we just need, first of all, someone who has been there, who understands. That can be really helpful. They don't have to have gone through the exact same thing, right? But someone who has been through some life and actually came out the other side, who can offer you this safer space where you can be yourself, where you can actually, this is the thing. If you are going out there and you are wearing the masks and you are pretending and you're putting on a smile because girls are supposed to be good and nice and nurturing and all of this shit that we have this expectation put on us. Since we're talking to moms, I know I'm talking to some of you. Some of you out there are still people pleasers, still trying to keep the peace, right? Trying to avoid conflict. Hello, I did this.
Yeah.
All of this. I'm intimately familiar with all of it. This is why I can share it with you. We do everything in our power to make everyone else happy. And at the end of the day, we're bending over backwards to make everyone else happy, contorting ourselves, wearing all of these masks, fucking sucking in our gut so that nobody thinks we're chubby. Like, what the fuck? It's time to just like set it down.
Love yourself for you.
To be yourself, to take off the masks. And this is not always something that feels safe to do, right? Which is why working in a container with someone who creates this safe environment for you to start to put down those masks where you feel safe to take a look at what's been going on, to take a look inside of yourself, because it can be really scary, right? That moment I had where I realized, holy crap, I'm the common denominator. That could have gone one of two ways. And I know a lot of people go the other way. So the way that I took was like, this is actually really empowering. I'm the common denominator in all of my problems, and I'm the common solution. And the flip side of this that far too many people go down is, I'm the common denominator. There's something wrong with me. I'm bad. I fucked it all up. I'm a mess. I'm whatever. Fill in the blank. All the guilt, all the shame, shit piling on yourself. It's not motivating. No. Despite what we have sort of been conditioned to believe, that being harsh with ourselves can motivate us to do better. It actually doesn't do that. Like, not for very long. And also, if it does quote unquote work, you feel like crap. So that's not really working, in my opinion. Like, I think we deserve better than that. And so self-compassion is the catalyst. It's not the guilt and the shame and the beating yourself up that you need to become motivated. Besides that, motivation is, people wait to feel motivated. Okay.
Exactly.
If you take nothing from today, here's a little nugget for you for sure. Stop waiting for that. It isn't going to show up. Like, you're not going to get motivated to go to the gym by just laying on the couch and waiting for motivation to come. It's never going to show up. You get motivated, and also you get clarity in your life. Both of these things are the same. People wait. They're like, I just don't have clarity yet. I'm not sure. Waiting for the clarity to come. No, start doing the thing. Baby step. One step in the direction that you want to go. And then you reassess. You will always find, if you do this, most of us stay stuck in analysis paralysis. We don't do the thing. We're waiting, right? We're waiting for the motivation or the clarity or something else to happen. So we sit and do nothing. And then we wonder why nothing's happening. Like, so if you start taking one step at a time, and this is where your surrender comes in, right? Because it involves trust. You don't know the whole trajectory. You might have an end destination in mind. You're not sure how you're going to get there. I'm in Edmonton, you're in Vancouver. There are multiple routes to get there. Some of them might require a detour because the road's closed, right? There's fires right now. So there's certain ways we couldn't drive there. And so we have to adjust. And so instead of thinking, I've got my route planned, it's all done, I don't have to, like, I'm just going to do this, or even waiting to have that plan before you start, is going to result in problems. I don't know if anybody else has planned out the whole thing. I have, because I am a bit of a planner. Maybe that's the former accountant in me. And then something goes wrong. Something goes not according to the plan. And then it throws you into this tizzy. And what happens more often than not is you're like, oh my God, like, nothing's working out. I knew this was a bad idea. Like, I knew I was a failure. No, none of that. It's just that we can only make decisions in the now moment based on the information that we have. And when we do this, I'll tell you what, things go so much more smoothly. Right? You save yourself so much stress and worry and anxiety about what could, would, might happen. And you just stay in the present moment. And I promise you, the answers are there if you look right within. Because again, not looking without, not looking out in the world, but actually truly asking yourself in this moment, what do I need to do next? Right? How do I want to show up? How do I want to be? And what does that mean? What action do I take or not take in this moment so that I can bring that, conscious creation that I want into my reality? And it's an adventure, and it's not easy, because trusting is not easy. We have all of this conditioning and these stories and these past experiences and these memories, everything playing in our mind. So I will say that when I work with people, my create method is actually sort of my framework,
Yeah.
not linear, because we're not linear and
Yeah.
nothing is linear. We can't actually do like step, 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
But the C is about calibrating your consciousness.
Nice.
This is really tackling those mindsets, those beliefs, those stories, those personal internal judgments and everything else, the guilt, the shame, the people pleasing, the patterns, all of those things, and really just taking a big, bold look at those. Getting curious. It doesn't have to be so painful. It just means looking at it with like a childlike curiosity, like, is this really serving me to continue to believe this thing or to hold this mindset or to continue repeating this pattern? Or how can I interrupt that? How can I move differently? How can I be differently? And so that's sort of, I would say, like one of the biggest pieces. But I use a lot of different techniques. I'm a huge fan of multiple modalities because I don't believe anyone's the same.
Yeah.
I believe everyone will thrive with different tools in their toolbox. And actually my book, Unstuck for Women, is completely written of this experience of shifting and moving out of that state of overwhelm and anxiety and overthinking that I was in before into a space of actually being able to consciously create, right? To have intention and to follow through and do the things that I say I'm going to do, right? To build that trust with myself that I'm going to show up and I'm going to be who I want to be. I'm going to do the things that I want to do, and I'm going to have the life that I want to create, not letting it just happen and then complaining about why it's not what I want, right?
Yeah.
Which is easier in a way, right?
Yeah.
The comfort zone is very comfortable until it's not. So sometimes we need someone to slap us out that comfort zone and be like, you know what, you're looking mighty comfortable over there. You need a little wake up call because you deserve better.
Yes.
Right? Not because there's something wrong or bad about you, but because you deserve to feel unconditionally loved and accepted. You deserve that experience.
Yeah. It is so beautiful that you bring all this together. And happiness comes in so many different forms for us, and so much we have to learn to continue to be happy. I think the first, just by being in the now, like you said, creating that moment about, loving your present moment and loving where you are right now and embracing that is the start of happiness for sure. And then so many things come after that, right? Like, now let's gather our thoughts and see, is this serving you? Is this actually better for you? Is this something that you can change? Change is another thing that we all need to go through. And I love that you brought that up too, because we need to make the changes in our life to become a better human being. And again, it's a learning curve all the way through. I remember when I was going through that loving myself perspective, it was my first podcast that I put for myself. It's like loving me, or, being me. That was one of it. And it was like learning just to allow me to be who I am and let others judge me the way they feel more comfortable. If they don't like me, it's okay if they don't like me. It's okay
Well,
if
that's
others
a tough
don't
one for
like
so
me.
many.
Yes.
It's a tough one.
It was very hard for me. It's like, why do they not like me? Why do others not like me? And it was like this constant battle in my life. Why don't other people like me? And I stopped myself and said, am I a problem? Am I a bad person? Am I creating issues? No, if people don't like me, it's okay. That's their opinion. I have to continue to walk a path where others that like me will like me for me and love me for me. And those are the people I'm ready to embrace. And seriously, it's after that that I started to find friends that loved me and and really truly loved me for who I was. I could be so I could be all over the place and they would still love me for who I am. So these are the kind of people you want to embrace in your life, and allow those others that don't like you to walk their path, because their journey is completely different than yours. If you can see it that way, that would be amazing. I love that you brought that up
Sure.
too. Another
Oh,
one that you brought up was expectations, expecting to have it always the way that you imagine it. So thank you for saying that. You plan it out and it doesn't work your way. Well, guess what? You have to say it in your mind all the time. Like, I'm going to plan it this way. I'm going to say, plan A is going to be like this. Now, if something happens, let's say like you're, driving from Edmonton to Vancouver, and you say that the roads are all different, you got to take different routes, or all of a sudden, boom, your tires just go
Right?
off like out of nowhere, right? You don't stop yourself and say, I knew it. This is it. This is not right. I knew I shouldn't have done this. No, that is just something that, your obstacle that just stopped you from somewhere. It's okay. How can we change this? How can we get some help? Who can we call? We can call A&A. We can go, BC, someone that can help you with your car, right? So there are different ways to approach that problem. And sometimes you'll have to, do an overnight somewhere there because you don't have a choice. And embrace those choices, allow them to come around. Sometimes these are choices and things that happen for a reason. There are reasons for this. Nothing happens just like that. Always believe that what happens in your life is meant to happen for a reason. Sometimes they're good things. Even if they're bad things, they're here to teach you a lesson.
For sure.
And
And
allow
you get to
them.
control how you respond. You don't get
Yes.
to control how the things go down. You do get to control how you respond. And you'll notice that sometimes different people respond to the exact same scenario very differently. One person will go into a spiral tizzy, oh my gosh, it's terrible and everything's awful. And the other person will be like, huh. Okay, here's the story of traveling and having one of those kind of moments.
Yeah.
So my partner and I were driving back from BC one time and we hit a deer.
Oh, okay.
And so
I think about dinner now, but okay.
yeah, I don't think Bambi was okay.
Okay.
The car was a little bit
Damaged.
dented.
Oh, yeah.
It didn't interfere with us being able to drive home, but it did result in having to have some repairs to the car. Now, a lot of people would be very frustrated. This is going to cost me money, and I can't believe my trip is delayed. And also, this freaking deer just ran out, and I can't believe that. That was terrifying. And, all of the things, because it was like on the highway. My partner, very chill, was like, first time that's ever happened to me. When you can hold space for whatever happens and know that you are okay, it doesn't mean anything's bad or wrong about you. It just means that thing happened. You can shift your experience, right? Your struggles for the most part. And listen, I'm not talking about abuse here. Nobody deserves that. So we'll set that aside for the moment. Your response, and besides that, you don't have to carry your victim story forward. You can free yourself from that. But the way that you respond will create your experience of it, right? So let's compare those two scenarios. First time this has happened to me. Interesting. Let's post a Facebook story about it, right? Versus everything's terrible and wrong. Now you're in a bad mood for the rest of the day or the week or the month.
Yeah.
Right? So the way that you respond is pivotal. And I want to just touch back on something that you said as well, because self-love has been really painted in this sort of like selfish, egotistical, arrogant sort of light. And so I think, first of all, that's bullshit. Secondly, it's necessary. It's completely necessary to build this relationship with yourself. It's the foundation. And if you want a solid relationship with your children, with your spouse, with your neighbors, with your coworkers, anybody who's meant to be with you in your life, at your table, you have to start with building that love from within.
Yeah.
People are seeking love outside of themselves as well, very often. And the truth is, that's not out there either. And yes, you can find someone who will love you, even if you are, not loving yourself, but you won't be able to receive it to the same capacity as if you loved yourself too. It creates this incredible dynamic when two whole people who love themselves come together. That's what creates space for magnifying that love and that happiness and that peace and that joy, versus always having to fight for it, always trying to grasp at it, always trying to chase it. It means that it flows freely through you. And it's now no longer something that you're chasing, needing, lacking. It's something that you already have. And in fact, when you realize what you truly have, and we are all love, we're all the energy of love. We are built on this energy of love. When you realize this, when you remember, recognize it, it overflows. And this impacts all of those relationships around you.
Yeah.
Now you realize, oh, that person's just not for me. You realize happy people don't go around being trolls on the internet. Happy people don't criticize people like that. Happy people don't say hateful or hurtful or, otherwise negative things.
Yeah.
Happy people lift other people up. They cheer them on. They, encourage them. And so when you start to see this, you see those people that just aren't for you, or those unhappy, miserable people in a very different light, right?
Yeah.
They're not attacking you. They're actually just projecting this inner hurt from within themselves. And what they actually need is compassion. Now, and boundaries, right? Because we don't want to forget that boundaries piece. We don't want to have any impression that unconditional love means tolerance of mistreatment. It does not. And I think this is where a lot of people really get hung up. Relationships are actually about giving, but not giving to the detriment of your own well-being, right? This is the people pleaser thing coming in. When you're giving, probably ending up pretty bitter and resentful because you're not getting. There's a different way. There's a better way for you to create healthy, loving relationships. And that actually starts with you. So much of the couples therapy and the counseling and the self-help books when it comes to relationships have lots of great information about how to interact with other people. But I think what's missing in a lot of them, and that's actually what I'm writing about in my next book, which is called Love Unstuck, and it's coming out later 2024 here, is this relationship with yourself that is the foundation to all of the rest of it. You want to be a better mom. You want to be a loving mom who doesn't snap at their kids. And first of all, none of us is perfect. Okay. I think we've all snapped at our kids.
Always.
Kids, we do kid things. And like I like to say, teenagers, I think that their life mission, their purpose is to fuck around and find out. Right. And so we are not meant to get down into those trenches and act on their level. We are meant to be their guide.
Yeah.
Right. And so how can we do that if we ourselves aren't solid, if we ourselves cannot regulate our own emotions, if we ourselves are dealing with anxiety or worry or stress or depression, we are just not at our best for them. And again, this isn't to say there's something bad or wrong about you. It's to say, let's just open our eyes. Let's take a good look at this. Let's see what we might have missed before so that we can start to make a shift, so that we can start to show up as our best self. Your kids don't need someone who's perfect. They don't need someone who's got it all together. They don't need someone who knows all of the answers. They need the real you, the loving you, the balanced, happy, peaceful you that can show them. And this is why I ended up leaving my marriage, was I thought I was protecting my kids by staying. For a real long time, I stayed. There was also lots of guilt and shame about leaving. This was actually my second marriage. My first one, I did not have children with him, so it was a different deliberation. But my second one, the kids weighed so heavily on my heart. And definitely I stayed for many years beyond what I probably would have otherwise. I thought I was protecting them until one day I realized, like, I am teaching them a lot of stuff that I would not want them to go into their adult life and recreate for themselves. Your children are looking to you as a model. Right. And this, again, isn't to freak you out. It's just to open your eyes, to create awareness around this. They're watching you. Yeah. They probably aren't listening because that's just not how children roll. And whatever you say, they're like, nah, I don't want to listen to you. But they're watching. And someday your children are going to probably, most likely, recreate, unless something interrupts the pattern, they're going to start recreating relationships that look like the ones that they're witnessing in you. Right.
Yeah.
So when I started to recognize, there is no way I would want my children to grow up and treat their wife in this way. Yeah. I would never want my children to grow up and accept this kind of treatment from anywhere, or accept it, or think that this is a good, healthy relationship. Like, what? I would never want my kids to grow up and think they just have to put on a mask and pretend to be someone else and do what everyone expects them to do and just show up. And if it sucks and you're resentful and you're bitter and you're anxious and overwhelmed and all of these problems, that's just normal.
Yeah.
I never wanted them to think that. Yeah. What I wanted them to see is that you love yourself first. You choose yourself. You create the life that you want. Your happiness is already there. You just have to clear the path so that you can be that in this now moment. It does involve coming into the present moment, but that's where all the magic happens anyways. Where else would you want to be? Right? Everything else is just imagination. The only actual reality is right here, right now. And we can change that experience of reality too. So
Yeah.
I realized I wasn't protecting them, and I actually had to leave because I needed them to see what it's like to create a healthy, happy life and relationships for themselves.
Yeah, I love that. So everything that you have said so far, I believe happiness first has to come within yourself before you can actually take it and show it to everybody else. So everything that occurs around you, you need to make sure that you have that first. Love yourself, enjoy who you are, be happy with who you are, because that's the energy that you are going to provide with the people around you. If you don't like yourself, you don't love yourself, you're going to make others miserable too by doing what you're doing to try to be happy. So that's
Right.
really huge thing. One last thing I wanted to ask you is, what are the steps that someone can take to start right now to get that happy feeling within themselves?
I mean, I think everyone is a little bit different, to be honest. So I don't know if I have a one size fits all sort of answer here, but stop faking it, right? Stop being someone who you're not. Look for those. When you feel stuck, the feeling of stuckness is created because there's incongruence between where you are and where your heart wants you to be, right? Those things the experiences you want to have. And so that incongruence creates this tension, this feeling of stuckness. And so listen to yourself, trust yourself, give yourself that nurturing love. And always the first step to everything is going to be take that next baby step. Ask yourself, what do I need to do? What would be most loving and nurturing to me right now? What is the next baby step that I can take? And then do the thing.
Hmm.
Just that one thing, just that baby step. And then when that's done, you can repeat the process, right? What is the next most loving, helpful, nurturing thing that I can do? Right? What is the next little tiny increment that I can make towards that outcome that I truly want? These little things add up. And these baby steps with consistency get you where you want to go in the long run. There really is no shortcuts in life, although it sure can feel like it, because if you shift your mindset and your beliefs about things, it can feel like a massive shortcut. People talk about quantum leaping and all of these things. It's possible to have a complete change, but that change isn't going to happen outside in the world until it happens within you. That is how you make that quantum leap. That is how you make that instant change. That is how you change your entire experience from the inside out.
Yeah. It's beautiful. Thank you so much. Every conversation, everything that you said today has really highlighted so much about happiness. And, biggest thing for me is about when you're happy within yourself, things around you will slowly continue to change. And you will feel the changes, and you will learn the things that need to get changed, and you will learn what you need to do to be
Yeah.
happy. And one of the biggest things that I personally say is if you're really happy within, you'll love yourself so much that you won't worry about what others will say. You won't worry about what others will think about you. You will continue to live your authentic, beautiful way, just being who you are, because that's who you are. And so if you can continue to remember that, loving yourself, the person you are, loving everyone despite who they are, will continue to be the best thing that you ever do for yourself. Because if you love you, nobody else around you is a bad person. No one else around you is a problem. They're just human beings experiencing this beautiful world in their own journey, in their own way. And that is how you will start to know that you truly love yourself. So I love that. I love that you said all of this, Christy. You're a phenomenal, beautiful human being. Your heart glows. Your soul is glowing so much right now. Anyone that works with you and anyone that comes in contact with you will love who you are. Today, I'm in love with you. I can't wait to actually grab your book. I'm going to put all your information inside your YouTube, Instagram. If you want, actually, if you don't mind just saying them here, because if someone's listening, they can just jot it down. We just want your Instagram account, how they can get a hold of you, your email, if that's what you get, or your website, and how they can actually quickly get a hold of you, so then they can say, hey, Christy, I want to talk to you more. So then we can go from there.
Absolutely. I will make this very simple and straightforward. You can visit my website at coachchristyholt.com. And on my website, you can find my books, my podcast, my courses online. I have some freebies. I have a super fun sweary meditation series. It's an absolute hoot. there is something very therapeutic about laughing and becoming present and releasing. So if that sounds like a vibe for you, they are 5-minute quickies, because who doesn't love a quickie?
Yeah.
Grab those freebies on there. We talked a bit about people pleasing, and I have resources for people who are recognizing people pleasing patterns in their life so that they can find freedom. And as well, there's information about my mentorship options, and my social media links are all at the top right corner of my website. I love to hang out on Facebook more than anywhere else. So you could definitely find me there and hit me up. I would love to connect with you. And if I can leave you with one last thought, is just that if you're not being authentically yourself, you're going to have a very hard time being in this intended state of happiness, because the act of being someone else, the act of trying to wear these masks and manage the people's perspectives about you from the outside will block you from the happiness and also from the actual relationships you're meant to have, right? Because you can't find your people if you're not being you.
100%.
If you're being someone else, you're going to find someone else's friends, not your friends. So this authenticity piece is just so crucial, that you show up and listen, you're not one person, right? You're holding space for all of the things. Happiness isn't going to be like so pervasive that you never feel anything else, that you never feel grief or sadness or anger. This is all about expanding your capacity to hold all of the things, because humans are complex. And in fact, we can feel happiness and grief at the same time. So creating space to hold all of that will be the ticket that's actually sets you free from this endless chase. And your authenticity is your first step. And if you don't know who you are, like if you're like me, didn't know who you were, not sure, just a mom, some self-discovery will take you a really long way to just really start to ask yourself, to go inward, to reflect on what makes you up, and what is it that you want to create in this world. So be it till you see it.
I love it. And I think one of the things I want to add in there is live your moment, live the now, and be happy with the now, because that is going to lead you to that happiness. If you can do that slowly, things will lead to a better place. And we'll leave it from there right now. And I wanted to say thank you to every single one of you that are here listening. Your heart, your soul, every single part of you is probably jumping up and down. Let's make happiness around this world shine. Have a wonderful day, everyone. Thank you so much.